Hello guys, welcome to another weekly breakdown video. Today I have came back with a video of second week of April. As you can see, I'll be breaking down the trades that I've taken on second week of April, and also it is a CPI week, so let me quickly show you the news before showing the weekly breakdown. This video will be very short. I will not explain the trades because I do it on my other videos, so why to do it here, right? I will just show you the weekly breakdown. I will show you the weekly profiling, how the weekly closed, and if my next week is bullish or bearish, and what I'm looking for. So Monday, Tuesday no news, Wednesday FOMC meeting minutes, which is like no news. Thursday and Friday is CPI and PPI. Friday is very tricky because both GBP and USD news, and that is when I don't trade GU directly, I trade EU. So on the weekly time frame, you can clearly see the bias going on the next week is clearly bearish. The market trend is bullish. Don't get me wrong, the trend is bullish, right? But I don't trade according to the trend. I trade according to the bias. So here the trend is bullish, yes. The price went up, filled up the weekly fair value gap right here. 80% fair value gap got filled, and now I am looking for a sell because of the previous weekly candle. I am an intraday trader, right? So I give a fuck about what is happening recently. I don't give a fuck about what the market is doing in the long term. So I'm not a swing trader, I'm an intraday trader. So clearly the last week has closed a bearish candle, so that gives me the bias for the next week, which is bearish. So anything that's aligning with the bias being bearish, it's good. And now on the DXY, we clearly see the price went down, fill up this fair value gap right here to the T. This fair value gap on the weekly time frame is filled up to the T, as you can see. Here the fair value gap got filled to the T, and yeah, the price is also rejecting after filling up this fair value gap. Didn't mitigated this demand zone by a pip, I believe. Oh, okay, yes, didn't mitigated this demand zone. Yeah, so the weekly bias on DXY is bullish, and on GBP USD it's bearish, right? So now going on the daily time frame, I trade according to the daily bias. I don't care how anyone is trading, I trade according to how I understand the markets. So now going on Monday, without wasting any time, my bias is bearish. So the weekly and the daily bias are aligning on Monday, so I will be looking for sells. And the same sort of thing on DXY, right? On DXY, I will be looking for buys because the weekly and the daily bias are aligning on Monday, being bullish on DXY and being bearish on GBP USD. That is when on the 4 hourly, I go on the 4 hourly to look for some change of characters. On the 4 hourly, there was a change of character right here. There was a H4 fair value gap here, right? But I have not marked it because I've already journaled it and I know it. So that is when I go to the H1, and yeah, I wait for the Asian range to close. And after the Asian range close, Monday was a banger, as you can see. Monday was a winning trade. If you want to see this trade breakdown, I have made a separate video on my channel. You can watch that video. And yeah, I will not show you every single trade in this video because it will become a very long video, and this is just a weekly recap. And yeah, I gotta do more things. I have stuff to do, so yeah. So now going on Tuesday, clearly we can see Monday closed as a very bearish candle, right? So after how this candle closed, Monday literally went down, fill up this fair value gap, fill up this fair value gap right here, which DXY hasn't. And this is also SMT because the bias on the daily is bearish, and GBP USD has filled up this fair value gaps. I will be looking for sells on GBP USD on Tuesday, right? So on Tuesday I'll be looking for sells again, and that is when I confirm my bias on DXY. And on DXY we can clearly see the bias is bullish again to fill up that, to mitigate this supply zone, I believe, and also the new day opening gap which was made on Thursday last week also got filled. And the new day opening gaps which are made in the market often get filled, and that's how the market moves. So now going on Tuesday, I'm looking for a sell. That is when I go to the H4, and the H4 time frame I look for some market structure shifts. And on the H4 time frame you can clearly see there was a break of structure to the downside, as you can see. And yeah, this change of character happened right here. The fair value gap didn't got filled, and also there is a fair value gap right here on the H4. I am anticipating a sell because of how this H4 market structure is. I watch the bias on the daily and I watch market structure on H4. The thing that DoviFX does on weekly and daily, I do it on daily and 4 hourly. So on the 4 hourly, the market structure is clearly bearish, so I'm looking for sells. Simple as that, right? So that is when the most important time frame for me is the H1, because I mark my zones on the H1. And on the H1 time frame, I open my indicators tab, and that is when I mark the supply zones that I want to trade. I wait for the Asian range to close, and after the Asian range closes, I mark the supply zone. This was also a trade this trade also I have back tested, so I will not show you the insights of this trade. This was a trade, this was the entry was on M5, the M15 there was inducement. We got induced at the first position, and second position was a banger. So if you want to learn how I take these trades, you can watch my videos, and I will not show you in this video because this is a weekly breakdown, this is not a trade breakdown, right? So now going on Wednesday, without wasting any time, now going on Wednesday, my bias was not clear, so I didn't do the trade. Simple as that, right? So on Wednesday my bias was not clear, so decided not to trade. So not trading on Wednesday gave me the bias for Thursday. On Thursday, now we can see the price filled up the daily fair value gap. It's GU is not looking like one of the most bearish candle in the world. To be honest, this is still looking like a bullish candle. But when I go to DXY is clearly looking like a bullish pin bar, and EU is clearly looking like a bearish pin bar. So keeping that in mind, keeping that information in mind, on Thursday I was looking for sells, because so going on Thursday I was looking for sells. DXY and EU, aligning DXY and EU, correlating them, influence my bias selection for Thursday, as you can see. And also DXY was very oversold on DXY, so it made sense for DXY to gain some strength because it's the reserve currency of the world. Whenever there is risk off in the market, DXY tend to get the advantage. So here we can see on the H4 time frame the lower high, lower low. The price now on the H4 time frame didn't break structure to the downside, so it is tricky. Last time the price changed character to the downside on Monday, we took the trade, won. Break of structure, took the trade, won. But right now on the H4 time frame, you can see H4 supply zone got mitigated, a quick rejection from the H4 time frame, and now the price is just trading between this bearish solidified range, right? So this is also called ranging markets. This is not trending right here, because according to how this Wednesday candle close, the market literally has chance to go up right now. This is not one of the highest probabilities. Like Monday and Tuesday were high probability because the H4 was literally continuing to the downside. But right now the price, yes, it has a chance that the price might go down, but it also has a chance that the price now might change direction from here, because accumulation happened here. Accumulation, some sort of manipulation distribution can happen. So that is when I go to the H1, I enable the sessions indicator. I was looking for a sell. I waited for the Asian range to close, and after the Asian range closed, the London session here, the London high right here was used as previous structural liquidity, and I took the trade from the supply zone made on Monday. The supply zone made on Monday in London session I used that as a supply zone to trade on Thursday, and that's totally fine. I do that, and that literally works. But in this case, that didn't work. Doesn't mean that doesn't work, right? So I used that. It was a loss. So even this trade, I've journaled it, and if you want to see the insights, you can see it in my other videos. On that particular video. So yeah, this was how Thursday closed. Thursday was also a losing trade. Thursday was a losing trade. Monday, Tuesday was a winning trade. Thursday was a losing trade. That's totally fine. I lost like 2.5% on Thursday, and I won like 2 phases or a prop firm challenge on Monday and Tuesday. So I will take that. I will take that exchange any single day of the week. So now going on Friday, my bias is not clear because of how. On Friday, I will not trade. Why? Because of the news. On Friday, there is both GBP and USD news, and that is when I don't trade, and I don't tend to trade. I don't trade whenever there is GBP and USD both news on the same day. What I tend to do is I go and trade EU. On those days, I tend to go and trade EU, right? So let's see. But to be honest, on Friday I did got a trade, and I did took a trade right here. As you can see, it was a M15 demand zone right here, and this trade was from this M15. This trade was from this M15 continuation model. Why, bruv? Why did you decided to take a continuation model on GBP USD? You said you want trade, right? Yes, but if I traded, I would have looked for a continuation model because the bias was bullish. The Asian range was very bullish, and you can see on the M15. This was the low that caused this high on the Asian range. So the price went down to this demand zone made on Asian range. This is a continuation model, and I have also journaled the continuation model, so I know what happens, right? So on Friday, it made so much of sense to look for buys. Basically, I would have not traded, but if I would have, and I am back testing, so knowing this market conditions is not a bad thing. As you can see, huge move happened from this demand zone, and if I would take any trade, it would be this trade, and it was also in my time window. I don't care what is happening at whatever timing, right? I only care what is happening at my time, which is London 7 to 10 and New York, the time zones that I've marked. So here we can see we got a beautiful trade here on London session, and the demand zone got mitigated, and everything I want to see in the trade was here. And if I had taken this trade, this would have been a banger. This trade would have been a banger right here. And this week was literally a profitable week. Now I understand why Rob Dono has passed $1 million of funding in April. April was a very high volatile month, but obviously, man, until now the price action is so good, and we are literally getting so huge moves. There is no doubt that Rob Dono passed $1 million. And even if the knowledge that I have right now, if the market conditions again appeared, the same market condition appeared, I would make the same money, bro. I genuinely trust in myself, and my strategy is works. And yeah, it's just a matter of disciplining myself and taking those trades when it appears. So yeah, this was the weekly breakdown, and the weekly profiling was Monday went down, Tuesday went down, made the low of the week, and then now the high of the week has been formed. So this is a bullish weekly profiling, as you can see. So now going on the weekly, as we can clearly see, the weekly time frame has filled up this weekly fair value gap, and now on the next weeks we'll look for buys to fill up that weekly fair value gap to the upside. So catch you on the next video, which will be released today itself.